Once you've filled in the case information section, let's continue figuring out how we'll help our contact Paul Newman through this health insurance process. We get to the case requirements section. Now we have a couple of fields here that we need to be completed. The first field is collected required forms. Now, question to ask yourself is, during the conversation we had, were there any forms that I presented to Paul Newman? And if so, make sure that you indicate yes. If not, make sure you indicate no. A lot of the times we know that people get calls and somebody either just gives you the plan elected or they tell you what insurance company they're with, but no other information. So make sure you go in and indicate that no form was actually collected. This is a required field and we do need you to complete it. So in this case, we'll say, no, we did not collect any forms. And if we did say yes, we need to indicate which form was collected. We have a couple of options here. And so feel free to indicate which one was collected. And it's just as simple as moving it from one side over to the next side. But we'll go with no. The next thing to check on is to ask yourself a couple of questions. And this is where the wording seems similar, but it's very different. You need to be very attentive to the questions that they're asking. So did you when you talk to the contact, in this situation we talked to Paul Newman, did we assist him with his electronic account setup? If the answer is yes, we need to indicate yes. If the answer is no, we need to indicate no. So in this case, we'll say no, we did not assist him. Then we come over to the applied for tax credit section. The question you're asking yourself is if Paul Newman applied for tax credit. So if you know the answer, these are your options. If you have no idea, please select unknown, because you saying no indicates that you have talked to Paul and he has indicated to you that he has not applied for tax credit. Now, this is different to this option here, which is a checkbox. So if you can think about it this way, on this section, we're talking about Paul Newman's interaction with us. On this section, we're talking about our interaction with Paul Newman. So in this case, like I mentioned, we're asking ourselves, did Paul Newman apply for tax credit? If he did, we'll say yes. And on this section, we ask ourselves, did we assist Paul Newman with this application for tax credits? If the answer is yes, we check the box. If the answer is no, we leave it blank. I'll do the same thing for the second one. Applied for cost reduction. Did Paul Newman apply for cost reduction? Yes. On this section, we ask ourselves, did we assist Paul Newman with this application for cost reduction? Yes. Next thing we ask ourselves is, did he submit his application? If the answer is yes, we say yes. If the answer is no, we say no. And if we don't know, please make sure you indicate as such. So we say yes, we know his application has been submitted. And in time, we hear back from him and he tells us that his eligibility has been determined and he is eligible for health insurance. So please make sure you're filling out all these fields. As you can see, I'm walking through each particular step and I make sure that I fill in all the different options that are available. So in this case, we come back to asking ourselves, did we assist him in his determination of eligibility? And if the answer is yes, we were part of that process, we check that box. If it's no, just as we did with this, we leave it unchecked. And so once we find out what it is his plan once we find out what plan has been elected, we come up here and we select. We have a whole array of options available, bearing in mind that if you're in Massachusetts, Mass Health Standard is the temporary option. So feel free to select this if somebody mentions to you that they do have temporary coverage. The rest is the insurance company. When you check on this lookup, you have quite a few options of the insurance companies available. It could be Blue Cross or Harvard. And then you have the option to select the different plan levels. Once all those are filled in, it's important to ask, in your opinion, what is the confidence that Paul Newman has in self-renewal or enrollment? In your opinion, as you were working through with Paul Newman throughout this process, 1 would be not very confident. 5 would be he is very confident that he can do this process on his own. He can go through self-renewal on his own. And we really encourage you to respond to that. In this case, we'll say 4. He seemed pretty confident and he seemed to understand what was going on. So that's how you'd fulfill all the case requirement sections. As you can see here, I will just go ahead and say it's a QHP without tax credits because we mentioned that Paul Newman was auto-renewed through ComChoice. If there is no auto-renew box checked, you need to indicate which of these application processes he was enrolled by. And lastly, if you select auto-renew, make sure that the default is QHP without tax credits. And at this point, you should feel free to ask the contact if their income has gone down. If it has gone down, you should check if they can apply for tax credits. Feel free to reach out to management if you have any questions about this process.